Hello everyone, welcome back once again to my channel. Today we are going to look at quantification of medicine. In the previous lecture we looked at the management cycle, where we say that the management cycle of medicine has majorly 4 stages. And we said we have selection of medicine, we have procurement of medicine, we have distribution of medicine and use. So after medicines are selected, there is need to identify their quantities. So quantification is that specific process that we are going to use to estimate their different quantities. So let us look at what the definition is. So we see that in the definition we have our quantification is the process of estimating quantities and costs of selected products required to ensure uninterrupted supply to for patients. Quantification is the first step in the procurement, is the first step that we have in the procurement process. That is all what you need to know about quantification: estimating quantities, how much you would require of whatever you have selected, how much do you need. Besides medicines, it also estimates needs such as finances, human resource capacity, storage capacity, and then capacity to deliver services. So when we look at finance, we are looking at the costs of whatever medicine, and then how much do we have in the facility, how much is present in the facility. And then when we look at the human resource, what is the number of people present, those who are retiring, how many are they in a year, and then do we need to recruit more of them, how are we maintaining their workforce, okay, how are we encouraging them to be more productive. So you see that quantification as well works on the human resource capacity. The capacity, are they able, whatever we have selected, are the people present going to do it effectively? And if not, what do we need to do next? Storage capacity, when we look at the store where we are going to keep the medicines, for whatever we have selected, the quantities will determine how much space we have in the store. So if the store does not have enough space, you find that it will limit the quantities we are going to order, because even if we order in bulk, we may not have where to store them. And if we fail to get appropriate place to store, then it becomes to order. So that is why the quantification also works or estimates, or besides that other medicine, it also has to work on the storage capacity. And then capacity to deliver services. So whatever we are going to select, are we able to deliver the service of what we have selected? If we have selected oxygen cylinders, does our facility be in position to deliver the service? Do we have competent and well-skilled personnel in our facility who can administer this specific medication that we are ordering for? Because when we look at the health systems, there are different levels. For example, in our country, we have a level, we can say health center 2 up to health center 4, and then we have the district health centers, and then there are regional health centers, hospitals, and then we have national hospitals. So whatever the capacity of what the national referral hospital can order is not, or quantify, is not the same as what health center 2 can quantify. Sorry about that. So why is quantification necessary? We need to estimate quantities because it avoids stockouts and ensures continuous availability of medicines. We don't want medicines to get done in the store or in the facility, because it will reduce the productivity of the staff or the human resource present, because they will have ideally nothing to do, because if the medicines and the medicine surplus are not present, they cannot perform anything. With all the knowledge and skill they have, they cannot perform anything. So we quantify, we estimate quantity so that we avoid having stockouts, having days where we have no medicine, where we have no medicine supplies. And of course, this can cause, it is life-threatening, where we find that our patients may end up losing their lives, because if we completely go off, like everything is done in the facility, and yet we have patients in critical conditions that need to be handled. And then we see also it avoids wastage due to overstocking. So we estimate quantities based on the storage we have and then the capacity of the facility. So putting that in mind, we are trying to avoid wasting resources. We have to make sure that we appropriately use the available resource to gain whatever we need. Ensures, the third point is when we see that ensures judicious use of financial resources within the budget limits. So we know what we have, what resources we have, how much is allocated for medicines, how much is allocated for medicine supplies, how much is allocated for staff training, and the rest. So we are putting all that in mind. Quantification enables us to make sure that we do not waste the few resources or financial resources that we have. The fourth point is ensures rational medicines use. We see that when we quantify correctly, we are ensuring rational use of medicine. So that is in diagnosing, we see that we shall have a right diagnosis given to the right patient at the right time, because we need different reagents to enable us carry out the different tests that a client may need. Then prescribing, we see that we are able to direct the prescribers or inform the prescribers of available resources, available medicines in stock, so that they are able to make the right decision when they are prescribing, other than prescribing what is not available. And then they are also able to choose the right treatment for the patient, either first line, second line, or third line, based on what is present in the store or in the pharmacy. Then dispensing, when we are dispensing, we see that we give a full dose because we have enough. Other than maybe giving patients a half and then requesting them to come back after 2 days, something like that. So you find that a patient moves out with what is necessary and what they require. And then we see administration and adherence. So all this is under rational medicine use, where we say that the right diagnosis is made for the right patient and the right medicine is given to the right patient at the right time, in the right place, at the right dosage. Okay, so that is what we need to know. And then we still continue and say quantification can be used as a tool to prepare and justify medicine budget. So you use it to justify the medicine budget in case you have auditors that come around and then maybe they are questioning your budget that you have. So you have a backup, you have something to present that, yes, the budget looks big, but this is what we need. And you find that it will correlate, it will be corresponding with what is required, so that maybe you're not caught off guard. So you find that quantification enables you to justify your budget. You are able to explain why your budget is high, why your budget is minimum, and then why is it low. Okay, so because you have the quantities and you know how much those costs and you know how much is required. So can be another point is can be used as a tool to plan for a new or expanding programs and policies. In case a facility needs to expand or there are new programs that may come up, you find that your quantification records can guide you when you need to plan for expansion, because you know, if I need to expand and maybe cater for 1,000 people, yet I have been initially catering for 500 people or population, I will have to double whatever I have been ordering or whatever quantities I have been making their orders, I need to double. So you find that it gives you, it guides you, it becomes a tool that you will need to use when you are planning for the expansion or when you plan to expand. Can be used to optimize program budgets based on more cost-effective treatment approaches. So we see that we use also it to optimize budgets. Don't confuse by optimizing budgets and preparing and justifying medicine budgets. They are independent on one another. Can be used as a tool to calculate emergency needs. In case we have emergencies or we have some medicines out of stock, when we have the vital medicines out of stock, we can order for them. Okay, we can have an emergency order. That is a local purchase order, the LPO. We can document or order using a LPO, the local purchase order. Those happen when we have cases of an emergency where we didn't predict for stockouts to happen in a specific time, but because of the high turnover of patients, it ended up escalating. And when it escalates, you find that you'll have some medicines out of stock, and yet they are vital for the patients. And without them, it leads to death or it threatens the life of a patient. So you'll have to order medicines based on the LPO, like the local purchase or the emergency needs. So let's see consequences of poor quantification. In case we do not take quantification seriously, and then in case we don't put it in mind how useful it is, we will have to face some of the challenges, some of the consequences, or we can say disadvantages of poor, or disadvantage, not necessarily disadvantage. We can say effects of poor quantification. So we can say effects, consequences. We can use those two words. So poor quantification leads to chronic and widespread shortages. So we can experience shortage in our facility, and then it leads to surplus and wastage. Sometimes we order much and they end up expiring in the facility because they are not fast moving, or our facility cannot consume that in a specific period of time based on the type of the facility, and then you find that things get wasted. And then we have leads to inequity of supply. So we see that there is no equitability. We are not looking at making a balance or creating a balance, because we see that some of the things may take much of the prices or much of the money compared to others. One of the specific department may draw the money based on and leave out what is more necessary. So you find that if we do not quantify, we may allocate, for example, the necessary medicines more of the budget compared to the vitals, and yet the vitals are the ones that we need more. So we see that there will be inequity of supply. Inadequate cost effectiveness. So there will be inadequate cost effectiveness, and then we see inadequate cost effectiveness is making sure that the little resources we have, we utilize them well. So inadequate cost effectiveness, you find that the little resources we have, we are misusing them. We are not making the best use. We are not producing the best out of the little we have. That is inadequate cost effectiveness. We have irrational adjustments to budgetary constraints. We shall also have irrational adjustments to budgetary constraints. And then we have irrational ineffective prescribing. There will be irrational ineffective prescribing because prescribers will be aware that we have a lot of surplus in the store, and they're looking at getting it done, or letting medicines out of the facility. Letting medicines out of the facility, we shall be affecting the patients. And then we see that there will be polypharmacy, having so many drugs doing the same work, being given for the same condition, yet one of them would still do the same thing. That is polypharmacy. There will be suppression or distortion of demand. So we shall also have suppression or distortion of demand. So those are the consequences. We have looked at consequences, we have looked at the importance or advantages of carrying out, or why it is necessary. So let us look at requirements for quantification. What are things that we need to put in mind when we are carrying out quantities, when we are estimating the quantities of the selected medicines and medicine supplies? Quantification for procurement relies heavily on data in the facility. This data includes number of patients attending the facility on average, and then we have issues with prevailing diseases in the area, and then what are the future plans to scale up the provision of healthcare. The data needs to be accurate and reliable. Whatever data we are using based on the number of patients should be reliable and accurate. It should be that people have been always registering the coming in and going out of patients. There should be a surveillance team looking out for which conditions have been more prevalent than the other in the facility. So these are things that we need to put in mind. So there is need to have or look at the importance of having accurate data for the hospital. The data reflects the consumption of the need for the medicines at any one given time. So, like we saw that the requirement needs us to know the number of patients coming. So, if we do not have accurate data, we are either going to bring few medicines, or we are going to order for more in a way that we waste them and they end up expiring in the store, and we shall incur costs of expiry. Like when they expire in the store, we shall have again to look out for ways of disposing them off. So how we dispose them off, we are going to incur costs. So we make a loss, something like that. So the data ensures that there is continuous supply of medicine. Having accurate data enables to ensure that there is always continuous supply of medicine. There are no days out of stock. There are no days where we have so much and our stock cannot even contain. So that is why there is need for us to have accurate data for the hospital. So when we look at the second slide, we see that we see there is a man and he's trying to take down his inventory, and then he's finding nowhere to pack some of his things. You see, even boxes from the upper shelves are falling on him because they are overpacked. So we see that this person did not appropriately identify the quantities they needed. They ended up overstocking. Either they had inaccurate data or wrong data, or they had accurate data, but the people who were carrying out the quantification didn't take the data seriously, or didn't check what they have present in the store and what will be needed, or what would they need to add. So that is why we see that he's wondering that he has overstocked, because he's trying to do a physical count. Because when you look at how his gesture is, it's like he's trying to count these specific boxes, these tins, and is seeing them more, and is saying, I have overstocked. Okay, so let this not happen to you in a facility. You see, even some of the medicines are on the floor. It has nowhere to put them. So these are consequences of poor quantification. You find that you overstock, you have no space to put the medicine quality degrade because you have not appropriately stored them. Medicines get exposed to light in case you're supposed to protect them from sunlight. Medicine get exposed to fire in case they are flammables and you needed to keep under key and lock. And where you keep the key and lock, they are already full. So in such a specific situation or scenario, you find that you didn't plan well, and you are facing the consequence of poor planning. So you need to plan for how much you need in the store, what quantities you need in the store. And then we see another scenario here. Here we see that we have patients waiting for their medications. Our shelves behind this guy are empty, and then we have like ideally few things in the store. And then when we look at these boxes, we see that these boxes are empty. So here you find that this specific person as well did not quantify well, and is having days out of stock, is having stockouts. Patients are waiting for their medicines, but he has nothing to offer. Why? Because he didn't plan well, he didn't quantify properly, he didn't even think of an emergency order where he would have a local purchase, or maybe borrow from a nearby facility, because he's not taking track of what is present, what has been taken, what needs to be done, something like that. So there are really a number of things that govern quantification that we need to take note of. To avoid cases out of stock, to avoid overstocking, we have to be keen on whatever we do, and we have to be conscious, because we are dealing with the lives of patients, and we can't play with their life. Okay, so let's be keen on quantification of medicine. Let us quantify properly. Let us record the accurate number of patients coming in and out, so that we do not have issues. Thank you for today.